Hi, and welcome back to Trim the Fat, a podcast designed to help us on our emotional, our physical, and our spiritual journey. We want to remove the fat, that fears, the anxieties, and traumas that somehow keep us stuck or not getting us to our full potential. And I'm Dr. Rhonda Garner. Today I have Danese Banks here with me, and I'm excited that you're here. She's a mom, she's an author, she's a life coach, she's an attorney, she's a mediator. So all the things that we hope to aspire to be. So you can introduce yourself and tell us a little bit more, elaborate on what I said.
All right. Well, my name is Danese Banks, and I'm all those things that she mentioned. I have a mediation business right now and a life coaching business. So those are the things that take up most of my time when I'm not being a mom and a wife and a daughter and a sister and a friend.
All of those things. Okay, well, good. We're going to get into some of that. And so one of the things that I'm very excited for us to get to, which we'll get to at the end, is your planner.
Okay.
Because I've used it. I send it to some of my friends, and I'm, getting to those things where we want to try to use what we already got to be what we want to be.
Yes.
So I like that you have the planning your life to the 50-second power, but we'll get to how you started that.
Okay.
But tell me more about your mediation business and how you got to that. How did you start doing it?
Well, I'm an attorney, and I've been an attorney now for about 27 years.
Ooh, okay.
And so as an attorney, a lot of people, they might have grown up wanting to be one. I was just, took a test in college, and it said I would do well as a lawyer. Some people say liar, lawyer. But so I went that route, but I really didn't have passion for the law. It was just something that, I can do this well, and something I can make money off of, and help people. And so doing that for a while was good, but at some point, I still didn't have the passion for it. I was like, what else can I do? And around 2016, 2017, making money and helping people that way was just not enough for me. So I started making other plans to do something else, even though I didn't know what that was. And so I actually quit practicing law in June of 2018. And at that point, I had waited kind of too long and was just kind of burnt out from the law, practicing all of it. And I took a break for about a year. And during that time was trying to figure out, okay, well, what can I do next? And so I thought about the law and the things I like about the law, which is solving problems. And because I like solving problems, I went back to school to be a life coach. So all those things were happening right before the pandemic. And when the pandemic hit, I just decided, hey, I'm going to try to do both. And so I started a mediation practice and I started a life coaching practice during that time period. So that's kind of how I got there.
I love that. So and I love that. So I always thought about trying to do the life coach thing. I just never got into it. It seemed like somehow we just get into it because people ask you for advice or they say, hey, can you help me through this? Or you'll become one. But you're certified life coach. Okay,
yes,
I love that.
Yes.
So tell me a little bit more about that life coach thing, what you've been doing with that.
So I started a company. It was 2021 called the Life Changer Coach. And at this point, I've done a lot of one-on-one coaching, but I'm kind of transitioning since I did the planner into the thoughts of group coaching and doing more educational stuff.
Okay.
So I'm kind of in transition on that. But up until this point, I have been dealing with people one-on-one, and I didn't really have a set person that I was looking for in terms of who I could coach. So anybody who came to me, I'm like, I can do it. You didn't
have like a demographic?
No. But what I found out was I took a step back and I started looking at the different people that were coming to me, and everybody was over 35. Everybody kind of had a dream that they just kind of put on hold. And so it seemed like the people that were attracted to coming to me were what I'll call deferred dreamers. And so at this point, I'm really creating content that's specific for them, because I think when we get a certain age, we feel like, is this all there is? Is this all I'm gonna do? What about what I wanted to do when I was young? Do I give up on that? What do I do? And so I find people that come to me with those kinds of problems, and I'm able to help them because I went through that same process trying to figure it out.
I like that when you said deferred dreamers. I think throughout life we all end up being a deferred dream because it's something that always becomes an obstacle or like hinder us from saying, okay, I wanted to do this, but now this takes priority.
Right.
Or I wanted to do this, okay, now how can I afford it? It's so many things. So
That's right.
who you say them, I'm a deferred dreamer too. So like one of this right here, me getting and doing this podcast, something I've been wanting to do for a few years, right around pandemic. I was like, oh, but it was like, it wasn't just the fear of like, oh, the camera or my voice or how I'll sound. It's a, how will I do it?
Yeah.
You got the daughter, I got work, I got the things that I'm responsibilities. And it worked out. But you know, so they say closed mouths don't get fed, or they say, you know, put one foot in front of the other. So yeah, that's one of the things. But there's so many, I want to write a book. That's been for years. I've been wanting to write a book. That's one of my deferred dreams. So I just don't, you know, so like, I don't know how to put that foot in the other, you know, in front of the other.
I know a life coach that can help you with that.
So we'll get to that. So I want to. That's one of the things. So like we have this bucket list of things. So I know you have a lot of things that people look up to, and they say, okay, how? I know there might be questions of people that's like, okay, I didn't even get a chance to finish school. So now, and I'm 40 something. So now what do I do? You have advice, or it's like some get up and some go?
See, here's the thing. I think when we get a certain age, we have learned so many things that we have to unlearn. You know, we believe that dreams are for young people, or we believe that you have to have this or that going on, or, you know, the children have to be in college, or I have to have this money. And none of that is true. None of that is true. The things that stop us, we claim they're external, but they're really internal struggles, you know, because when you really want to do something, you do it anyway. Just like when you have a child and that child needs stuff, you don't talk about why you can't do it or get it done. You find ways to get it done. Why? Because that child is important to you. You almost have to treat your dreams as important as your child, your baby. And when you change it up and say, no, this is something I'm going to make happen, it may take me longer, or I may have to take one step back and to take two forward, you get it done. You know, but we make excuses for ourselves, and when we finally free ourselves to understand that, you know, those are things that exist, but they aren't the true blocks. It's something internal. And when we deal with the internal, then it doesn't even matter what the external thing is. Okay, yeah, I got a kid. So, okay, that means I'm going to work on it when she's asleep. Or I'm going to get up early, or I'm going to delegate, have somebody pick up on Mondays and Wednesdays so I can do this thing. Like, we find ways to make it happen. Okay. And so go ahead. No,
I love it. No, because I love it, because I can relate too, because I have friends, and I also have been there. Like, okay, this is my excuse for not doing it. But if you treat it like your child, because I like when you said, because I was like, okay, how am I gonna make this work? But if it's for Nadia, I'm like, I'm making it work somehow or the other. So if we treat it like a baby, I love that, the way you put that out. So that's a good, this is a life coach moment. Okay, so what about like when that person, we got that. So then they say it's another obstacle, and I have this relationship, or I'm about to get married, or I don't have anybody to support me. It's all these different things. Like, I need some support, because you said, let's get somebody else to pick up the child if it's a child involved, or let me delegate some of the work. What if you say I don't have the support? You know, it's always an excuse.
It's always an excuse. Well, what you don't have, then I guess it's about your focus, because if you're focusing on what you don't have, you just get more of what you don't have. That can be the whatever the resource is, the person, etc. But when you truly work on your mindset and you focus on your solution and not your problem, then you would be surprised how resources become available, how abundant resources are. And it goes back to mindset. I mean, mindset is so very important. When you start shifting your mindset, things magical they just occur. I mean, because if you look at things from, okay, yeah, I don't have the resource, but when you know that God is the source of everything and is abundant in everything, then it's just you haven't figured it out yet. You hadn't figured it out yet. Okay. That's all.
I got it. I like that. So there's some times when we be like, okay, all these things, I've been trying. I know I've talked about this a couple times, but it's not working. The way you just said it is like, okay, there's another resource. It don't matter. This resource might not be it.
That's right.
But there's another avenue, there's another resource, or there's another time. Yeah. It's time of the day, time of the week, time of the year, or different. Yeah, so I love that. All right, so we talked about you and the mediation, the life coach, now the author. The author of the planner, or you got another book? Do you have another book?
Well, I have books in me that haven't come out, like some children's books that's like the next thing I haven't got started on. But the planner is the book that's out there now. That's the book that I've authored. And the plan, it's so funny because the planner was not a plan. You know, like the best things that happen with us are really not the things that we have planned, but the things that we are open to happening. And so with the planner, what had happened was with the planner, this was during the pandemic, and I know a lot of bad things happened in the pandemic, but so much good came out of the pandemic in terms of us being forced to be creative and to use what we had. You know, just like I listened to the gentleman that talked earlier, you know, during that time you were forced to sit down, you were forced to be still, you know, things weren't happening in the world. And so you just had to shift in certain ways if you were going to make it and keep going. And so with the planner, this was after I had, you know, just finished life coaching school, had gotten my certification and everything. And I had gotten a call from a young lady with the news. I can't remember which one it was at this point, but it was Sydney Neely.
Okay.
And I had never heard of her. I don't know how she'd found out about me, but she had called me right before, I guess it was December 2020, asking me to talk about New Year's resolutions. And a part of me was like, I was going to tell her no, because I was scared, because I didn't want to get in front of a camera and do all these things. And I was going to tell her, no, I'm not ready. But I had been working on myself all this time. And I had been working specifically on courage in every day, trying to do something courageous. Yes. And so on that particular day, saying yes to her was it. But I was so afraid. And, you know, she was like, you're only going to be on there for 3 minutes. But I practiced for hours of what I was going to say, you know. I called my little niece and had her Zoom with me. And I'm like, okay, how do I look? Do I do this? What, you know, doing all this stuff. Right. Because I was like, I don't know any of these things. And I was, you know, practicing. Because I just thought I was going to die, because this was not comfortable for me. You know, it's not comfortable now.
You look comfortable, though. So, yeah.
So I got through it, and when I did, I was like, oh, this is kind of fun. And then I said, okay, well, since I prepared this stuff, let me just get on Facebook and talk about what I've already talked about on there. And so I got on Facebook and did the things that I talked about. And then I was like, oh, I could talk about some other stuff on Facebook. And then so I started like every Monday just talking about different things. After I'd finished talking about what I told her, it was some other stuff. And at some point, I mean, I literally was in the shower and was like, ooh, I wonder if I could do this like 52 times, just challenge myself. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna meet the challenge. So every Monday I was coming up with different topics and still not putting together what I was gonna do with it. And then after I'd gotten to 52, I was like, I think I could put this together in a book somehow. And I was like, why don't you make a planner? Like, you know, like it wasn't even something I had thought I was gonna do, but it sounded good and it made sense. And so then I started working on it. But yeah, that's how it happened.
One of the words you said you wanted to work on was being courageous. And in the planner, you had some things about the power of courage.
Yes.
So let's talk about that. I want to talk about that power of courage, because we put ourselves in the back seat when we don't step out of our comfort zone.
Yes.
So I don't know which one it is, but yeah, power of courage, I like that, and I like power of respect and power of love. This is love month, so we'll get to that at the end. But yeah, so what's the feelings about like the power of courage? Where would that take us?
You know what? It's probably one of the top, out of the 52 powers, it's probably one of the top 5, because there's so many things that you miss out on if you don't display courage. Like you said earlier, closed mouths don't get fed. If you don't open your mouth and ask for something, or just try something, you know, do something different. And a lot of people think that courage has to be in something big. You know, like some people like, oh, well, that was courageous to quit your job. I was like, no, I was burned out. Like I really didn't exhibit any courage doing that. No matter what it may look like, that wasn't courage. That was me completely tired. But after that experience, I had actually bought another planner from another life coach, and it had 7 questions in it. And one of the questions was, because I'll tell you what it was Brendan Burchard. He wrote a book called 6 Habits of High Performers. And one of the habits is courage. And so in the performance planner, it's trying to help you with those habits. So like the 7th question every day that you asked yourself was, what will I do today different? What will I try? What will I do to step out of my comfort zone? And so it's the little things that you do every day. That might be like something like, I'm going to speak to somebody at work that I don't normally talk to, or I'm going to, ask a guy on a date. I'm going to, it can be so small, but when you're exercising that muscle and you're doing it daily and daily, then when it does come to a big thing, you will say yes. You will say yes. And so that's why I think it's so important, because everything that you can do and be consistent with, it just gets you a step closer to whatever it is you're trying to do. And without courage, you can't even get there. Without courage, you wouldn't even be here.
That's true.
Talking to me. You had to find courage to even say, hey, I think I could do this.
And just see, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
It's true. So one of the things I heard in Winter Revival last weekend, one of the things that was really profound, one of the speakers said was he had never had a bad experience from saying yes to something he was afraid of. And that was so profound. Yes. He was like, I said yes to some things. He said, it's easy to say no. He said, but when I said yes, there was nothing negative on the outside, on the other end of that. So saying yes to something I'm afraid of has always been a good opportunity, and expanding into something great.
Yes.
And that stuck with me. And another speaker was talking about how stay on top of it. That was a theme of it. We could be, you said consistent. We can want something so bad, but if we're not consistent,
that's right,
and we're not staying on top of it,
that's right,
it's going to fall to the wayside. So I love that. So I know this is like defining moments that your planner has helped me. It kind of helped me with this,
good.
I mean, with this, and then with like some other things I have going on, I do like mom and daughter events. So I'm going to try to start back doing those things. So what about power of love?
The power of love. So I got the hearts on
I know, I love it.
The power of love. When I think about the power of love, and that's something I think is evolving, because I know we had some discussion. You had said something about love, and that made me think. When you even just said that one little sentence before, it just made me think about love and what is really love and all those things. And I know it's popular right now. That 5 love language book, and to talk about what your love language is. And I think that's fine and good. I think people should do that. But your question made me think further about it, to the extent that, I think sometimes we want people to love us in a certain way, or, like this certain thing, the power of love, like you want affection, or you want this, you want that. And we forget to focus on the ways that they are showing love. And to me, that's almost just as important. Like, it's good to be able to express to somebody what you like, but don't negate what they already do. And I think sometimes we're so busy saying, oh, well, but I like this and I like that, but they're showing you these other things that are also love that you're just acting like it didn't happen. And I don't know, I just feel like love is all around you if you will just look for it. And sometimes when we focus so much on what someone else should do for us, what our real focus should be is what we ought to be doing for them. Having this, I'll say as close as a human can get to unconditional love. Because of course we can't do what God does.
That's true.
But like I think about my kids, like I get mad at them for stuff that they do and don't do, and I have these expectations, but then I have to step back and say, you expecting them to love you like you love them, and that's not ever going to be, but you love them anyway, so expand that to everybody, That's what God does with us, so.
It's true. And then love for ourselves.
Yep.
Because we put ourselves last. And then, we just was talking about that with, I was at book club last night, and we were talking about, like, we show love, like, in nurturing ways, and we'll do so much for somebody that needs us, and we forget we need ourselves.
That's right.
So, like, loving ourselves should be, like, one of the power of loving ourselves. So one of my little journal entries I was talking about, don't forget to love me.
That's right. That's right. And the people who give the most are the ones that forget it. Like, that same love you show, turn around and show it to yourself.
Yeah, why it's so hard?
I don't know. That's a good question. I think that we just, some people are very, they're just givers by nature. They're just very compassionate about others, and they will give and give and give. But you have to be careful, because sometimes you can give so much and then you start feeling some resentment. And then it's not love anymore. You know what I mean? It's like people say this all the time, pouring from an empty cup. I saw somebody recently say, don't even pour from your cup at all. You're going to get what's in my saucer, which is an overflow. You're not going to get what's in my cup. Right. So let my cup get full. Then when it overflow, you can have that.
Let me take that home, because mine ain't getting full.
Right.
I'm just, Okay, we got to wait till the saucer got some stuff.
That's right. I like
Give
that to the other folks.
Much. I like that so much. I love that. I love that. So now for mom, you talked about your kids, because we shared being a mom. You have two. So what's some of the biggest defining moments of being a mom in the love aspect?
I think the biggest part of that is, well, I guess let me back up. Like in 2018, when I quit my job, a lot of it had to do with me looking at my children and missing out on things. Like, I missed Asa's kindergarten graduation, for something at work. And even thinking about it now, I'll get a little upset, and it was a choice I made. Like, it was something I had to do at work. I probably could have changed it, but I put work on such a pedestal. And, after quitting and having time to really look at what I do and how I do it, the biggest, I guess, success or things that are important to me with my children is that I'm trying my best to raise them to be global citizens that give to the world and not take from it.
Okay.
And so whatever I can do that falls in lines with that is the best success I could ever have, no matter what else I do from a professional standpoint. If I can accomplish just that thing, I'll be good.
I love that. That's true. That's true. Because like you said, you do a lot of things, but we got to make sure, because we loving ourselves when we love our children too, because they're part of us. So I love that. Yeah, I missed a couple things, and going back to the pandemic, I was working 13 hours a day sometimes, shifts and no coverage. Yeah. So I had to be there. And other places people were working from home, but at that point I was working in the building, in the pharmacy, and I was like, okay, something's got to change. And then if somebody called in the next day, it would call me to come. Or I would work by myself sometimes, and then I'd be so tired after I didn't even engage. It was like I was seeing myself. So I said, same thing. I said, I'm going to let this go. I didn't know where I was going to, I didn't have a job lined up. But I said, okay, I can't do this. I can't keep operating like this, because it's not just guilt. It just felt wrong.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It felt wrong. And the next couple of days, they had somebody else.
Yeah, they did.
They had someone else.
Because we think that we're not replaceable, or that if we stop, the world going to stop spinning, but it keeps on moving, And
somehow it worked out. So I'm where I am now. I like that, working from home. But sometimes that gets mundane. But then you like, okay, count my pros and my cons. Yeah. I'm able to go to a lot of different things and move some things around to be there, because this time flies by. Because you just said 2018, like, okay, back then, now they're about to get ready to go to 7th grade.
Right, that's right.
And I'm scared.
Right. Yeah, me too.
I'm scared of 7th grade. So I just can't. I can't. So now tell me. So you talked about New Year's resolutions that you did for a show. You did a 3-minute thing. Do you believe in New Year's resolutions? Do you do vision boards, or do you do like those type of things?
I believe that people should do whatever works for them. Okay. And I think that comes in different forms. For some people, it's vision boards, which I've done.
I do those.
For some people, comes resolutions, which I have done. Some people say I'm picking a word for the year, which I have done. So I try all kinds of stuff. What I'm doing now, and then maybe something different next year, is that, like, for this year, I started last maybe October. I was reading a book called 12-Week Year, and the concept is, hey, planning for annual planning or planning for a whole year, that's great and all, but the reason why people can't finish it is because it's too long of a time period to try to, it's just too long of a time period. What you ought to do, and people try to do too much, and I did all that. Like, I used to have January, I'm gonna do this, February, and all these things, and then, by this time I hadn't done hardly anything. But this book, the concept of the book is, just pick 1 to 3 things to work on. That's it. And just pick 12 weeks as your time period, so that each week is almost equivalent to a month, because it puts some sense of urgency on you in terms of how you're moving. And so I'm not following that concept 100%, but I liked it to the point where that's how I'm moving. Like I wouldn't call it resolutions. Like January, I wanted to focus on health. So, I saw somewhere that somebody made a bingo card of the things they want to do.
Oh,
it was like one thing, like, okay, I need to just schedule a colonoscopy because I'm 52. Like schedule a stress test, like all these things. Then you get to mark it off, and then when you get bingo, go do something for yourself. Okay. So I'm willing to try all kinds of things that get me to move. So,
and to get you to do the things you're supposed to do.
That I'm supposed to do.
By the end of the year, you hadn't.
You've done it. So I believe that people should just try what works for them. And I believe that it's just about progress, not perfection. It's just about forward movement. If you put 10 things on your list today and you did 3, that's still a celebration.
It is.
You just get to it the next day or when you get to it. But one day you'll cross it off as long as you're just moving forward, which is why the consistency is so
my
important.
word for the year is forward. So, that's my word is forward. So I was like, I want to have multiple words, but I was like, okay, no, I can't do all of them. But forward is helping me because I'm like, okay, like staying on top of it, like the thing, and being consistent. But forward and not getting stuck on some of the things that has happened that make you feel like, sometimes you feel like, oh, that's got me in a rut or in a slump. I'm not going to do it because of this person is no longer there, or this happened. Now I can't do it. So if I'm trying to move a little bit forward on that.
All you got to do is baby steps. That's all you got to do.
Just a little bit. But okay, so of course I knew the time was going to run out, but I hope that you would want to come back. However, because I want people to know about your book.
Okay.
What's some of the biggest things in here that helps you with your self-care walk, or like taking care of you, because this is planning your life.
Right.
So what's some things that's going to help, that helps you, and that's why you can encourage others to go after this book?
So with respect to the book, I mean, to me, it is like, even for myself, when people talk about self-care, they don't realize, or they ought to realize, that personal development is probably the highest form of self-care you could do.
Yes.
Because when you start working with this right here, I mean, the sky's the limit on what you can accomplish and where you will go. And so with the planner, it has all the places that a regular planner has in terms of putting things, but the powers are things that you can look at your own pace. It's not any pressure. You can look at it and it prompts you to try different things each time. And it's just a little thing. It's a little change that will make a big difference. We think that, we have to have some epiphany or some big revelation for our life to turn around, but that's not true. Like if you took one power and worked with it all year long, you would see a change in your life. Like let's say it's the power of one small step. If you just focus on that, you would do great things. If you just focused on courage, if you just focused on avoiding the downward spiral, like that's the power in there. That's the one that, hey, when I feel myself going, because we all do, right?
Yep.
Life's while God simultaneously.
Yeah.
And you cannot have one without the other.
Okay.
But you must focus on, I can see that it's life, but I'm going to focus on what God is doing. Because like last year wasn't a good year if we say good and bad. I mean, I had a lot of death in my family, friends or relatives. It was just a lot of stuff. And all year long, I kept saying, well, life is life and life is life. And it wasn't until I read somewhere, it's just like a little blurb that somebody wrote. And it made me remember, hey, life was life, but God was God at the same time. And when and what it did was just make a shift. Like, you're right. Why am I focusing on this when I need to be focusing on this?
Oh, Lord.
And when I focus on this, no matter what is happening here, it's gonna line up. It's gonna work for my good. I kind of got off your question.
No, this right here. I'm sorry. That was all because I like the downward. Because I was like, which one is the downward spiral?
But the I can't. I'll have to flip and tell you which one it is. But the power of avoiding the downward spiral is like when you do focus on life and the things that happen. If you continue to focus on it, you'll keep going down those steps.
Yeah.
And so when you recognize that that's what you're doing, you don't give that power away. You have the power to be on the steps, turn back around, and start going back up. And the way you go up is where you shift your focus.
Yes. See, look at that. I love you. Okay, I gotta hire you. All right, well, look. So show the book. Tell them more where they can find it.
Yeah, this is actually mine because it says not for resale. This is the one I'm using, but it's Planning Your Life to the 50-Second Power Planner by Danese. You can get it on Amazon. It's normally $25. Sometimes you can get it for less on Amazon. But yeah,
I love it.
In a couple of days.
Yep, I love it. I ordered it. I saw her talk about it on Facebook, and I said, okay. And she was like, yeah, I did this. And I said, okay, I'm gonna. And I actually got it. It did. You know how you order stuff and it stays in your living room for a little bit, and it was the right time to look at it. Presented itself, and I said, okay. And I didn't just open to the first page, and the one I opened to was courage.
Okay.
And I was like, okay. I said, I like this, and I like the way it's laid out. So I'm so happy. I'm so proud of you too.
Thank you so
much.
much.
And I'm thankful that you
came.
I'm
proud of you as well because I've been listening to you. I was like, look at her.
Oh, thank you. I hope that you will come back. I like these hearts on that sweater. So y'all support. Get this planner. It is the beginning of the year, so support her. It's planning your life to the 50-second power planner.
And you can start at any time because it's undated.
It sure is undated. Yep. So thank you for listening. I hope this has helped someone. Go ahead and share and subscribe. You can follow us at Instagram on trim_the_fat. You can also go to our new Facebook page, and it's Trim the Fat Podcast by Dr. Rhonda G. Thank you for listening. Happy New Year.
Yay! Thank you so much. Thank you.